Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Illini Drive. It is your very own Nathan DeHaan. No Jake Hassan today, but we still got Brendyn Jones. We still got Alex Aguilera. We still got a show for you. We got a lot to talk about. I'm going to open on an interesting note, though. Alex, we were joking all year about you touching the rim. But the Illinois Marathon is this weekend, and I'm curious, what is the biggest athletic achievement you guys have ever done in your life? Anything from high school or just
like life in general,
or even just like a random
like
save
playing
the
a
cat
sport
from
or
a
like
street.
an athletic feat.
Just athleticism, just anything.
just athleticism.
I think so.
Anything you can think of.
Yeah. So I played lacrosse for 1 year as like let me stay fit senior year.
What sports did you primarily play in high
Football.
school?
Football was pretty much the only thing I played in high school. And we were really bad because it was like the first year we had a lacrosse team, and like it was just a whole bunch of football players that wanted to play something with contact. And we won our first game, and I was doing like shoulder bumps with like 3 people in a row. And I have a video if I can find it.
Shoulder bumps, like
like after we win, like I jump and shoulder bump.
That like celebration thing.
And I knocked down 2 of the people because they were like real little, and I don't know, it's not that athletic, but it was probably the funniest thing.
They take that weak stuff out of here. Yeah. You don't go up on Brendyn Jones like that.
I know.
Don't
really.
do it.
I don't know if this counts as athleticism. Well, I did hit a buzzer beater onthis.
Yeah?
That was pretty fun.
That's
Yeah.
cool. Tell us about it.
Set the stage.
Yeah. This is my YMCA days. Actually, it was a pretty good team too.
All right. So this is rec ball. In like high school, or is this recently?
No. This is a while ago. I was like 6th, 7th grade.
All right.
Something like that. So but we had a pretty good team. Like I was in the
What was your
starting
number?
what number did I wore 1.
Ooh.
D Rose.
I think it was right before. No, was it before?
D Rose copied you. Is that what you're saying?
No. I picked the one
After
because
seeing this buzzer beater.
I picked the one because it's Chase McGrady.
Ooh,
Good call,
that's
T-Mac.
That's why I got 1. So yeah, it was an inbounds play. I want to say it was a game winner too. So we had the ball at the half court line, and everybody how you line up and then you break off. So I broke off, and for some reason nobody covered me at all. So I just ran towards the corner, and I'm just yelling at my teammate dude, I'm wide open. Everybody just forgot about me. So he just launches it, and then I almost didn't catch it. So caught the ball, and my dad's right next to me. He's shoot it, and I'm just standing there for a second duh, of course I'm gonna shoot it. Duh, time's winding down. I gotta shoot. I'm not just gonna not shoot it.
Good call, Dad.
Right. And then for some reason, I had time to set up and everything, and I was just you know what, I'm gonna bank it. Just for some odd reason,
cold.
I wanted to do a bank shot, and I hit the bank shot or whatever, and clock goes out. I'm just
What was the celebration?
I was just jumping up and down, just had my arms down,
classic.
just
the D Rose face.
Oh, true. That's
I was
cool.
just let's go. All I kept saying was let's go. I didn't want to curse because I wasn't sure if I was gonna get in trouble or not.
Dude, much like the answer Paul Pierce. They asked, "Did you call bank?" He goes, "Nah, I called game."
Yeah. But I remember just standing looking at the basket, and I was just you know what, I'm gonna do a bank shot because I never do a bank shot. So
Yeah,
that was
You, Nathan?
I couldn't even think. I was too blown away by the perfect transition opportunity to go from Alex's buzzer beater to one of the greatest buzzer beaters I have ever witnessed watching. Me and Brendyn were talking a little bit about this before the show got started, before everybody got here. The best buzzer beater non-finals ever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There's you bring up the point that you were talking with your friends about earlier today.
So I have this group chat with my friends, and we were talking, and ever since last night, it's just been going off about Damian Lillard and stuff. And one of my friends says, he didn't think it was that clutch of a shot because they were tied and whatever. And
what?
Damian, I know. And I was like, what are you talking about? This is one of the most clutchest shots in the last 10 years. And I said that it's one of the most clutch shots in the last 10 years if you exclude Kyrie, and then in the finals, obviously, against the Warriors. And then he brings up Ray Allen, and I'm like, okay, those are the only 2 that might be more clutch than this one. And then he tried to bring up LeBron James when he beat it over the Magic in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference.
I mean, that was cool, but it was
it wasn't a series ender,
right?
And yeah, I don't know. So we kind of came to the agreement that this was one of the most clutch shots. And then Nathan comes up to me for the show, and he says, but the 2 shots that are above it are in the finals. So if you discount those for being finals performances, this is the most clutch shot
Because anything,
in the
anytime
playoffs.
it's in the finals,
Yeah.
it's going to be like, yeah, it's the finals.
course, right.
You know, Ray Allen continues
that
that,
Ray Allen
series.
shot wouldn't be as good if it was in the first round like Damian Lillard.
Yeah, or even if the Heat lose that series. I mean,
Right.
Ray Allen continues that. LeBron gets his first ring, and then and then Kyrie, same thing. Look,
Yeah.
look,
Like
at
Stone Cold,
LeBron
like,
relying on other people to get rings. But you take away those. I can't really think of anything. I remember LeBron's floater at last year's
against
playoffs.
Yeah.
Was that the Pacers?
No, it was the
that
Raptors.
was the Raptors.
Raptors,
Yeah,
yeah.
to close out the first game, that deflated every hope they had of
Right.
even winning a game. They got swept after that, and they were number 1 seed. And yeah, LeBron has had his time with Toronto.
I remember I watched Damian Lillard's first playoff buzzer beater
So
back in
cold.
was it 2014 or something like that? I remember it was against Houston.
2014.
That
That
one
one, second year in the league.
Right, that one I watched live, and I think it was like the first round. It was the first time like Portland had like advanced in like 14 years.
Yeah.
And I was just flipping through channels, and I was like, I watched the last couple minutes, and I'm like, hey, you know what? This is a good game. I'll watch it. And like I remember, just as soon as he got the ball and the look that he got, I was like, okay, like he got this.
He was. I watched the highlight too after this happened, and he was playing the defense. He like before the inbound,
Yeah.
he was kind of just like chilling, like not looking like he was ready for it at all. They blew the whistle, and he just took off.
0.8 seconds left on the clock, I think
Man,
it was.
but
and he
with-
just-
I swear,
that's
with
insane.
but with this one that just happened
Yeah.
last night, like looking at it over and over again, I'm like, okay, this man knew exactly what he wanted to do.
Here's the crazy thing about this shot is just the amount that went into it is that Damian Lillard dribbled out the clock, knew Paul George, who was going to be all NBA defense, all NBA first team defense, stared him down, then pulled back and pulled up from 37, not just to get 50, not just to win the game, to win the freaking series at home. He is unbelievably ice cold, probably the most clutch point guard. I used to give Kyrie the fact that he was, he had the clutch gene. I mean, Damian Lillard.
He's starting to-
he did it against Houston.
Right,
he just did it again. He is a stone cold savage. Afterwards, like after game 3, Dennis Schroeder's pointing at his wrist. They're doing all these celebrations, and he's like, and I mean, I guess they were excited to win one game, but I mean, we came out here to win 4 and win the series, and that's what we did.
He's just trolling them on Twitter. Like his Instagram, he posted like the Sun Tzu quote, which is like, I don't know, like something like I'm paraphrasing, but the ones who like talk the most, they never win, and the ones who stay silent like the most dangerous or whatever. And then like Paul George in the post game interview said that it was a bad shot, and like I don't care what anybody says, like it's a bad shot. And then he retweeted it, said LOL, and it's like at the end of the day, this man has been doing those shots every single game of the series. He was perfect from like behind 30 feet that game, and it's like. You can't just, I mean, like any other player, and that's kind of the frustrating part about it, and I understand where Paul George is coming from. There's 2 players, I think, that can make that shot, and it's him and Steph Curry.
Yeah.
And, I mean, obviously, you can't foul him because you foul him, he goes to the line. He's one of the best free throw shooters. Paul George had 5 fouls already. So, like, he played not the best defense, but, like, as much as he could, and there's just nothing you can do about it. And that's the most insane part about this was that, like, their lead slipped away in the fourth quarter, and it just throughout the whole fourth quarter I was watching it, and I'm like, if they lose, like they're gonna feel like there was nothing that they could do about it.
Dude, and that's the crazy thing is I love the Stephen A quote, and it's mainly talking about Stephen Curry, but what's you gonna do with the dude that pulls up from 40? And it's like,
You can't
what are you gonna
shoot.
do? And that's exactly what Logo Lillard did last night. The question is, Steph Curry is the best at point guard in the NBA.
Yeah.
Is Damian Lillard the second best point guard in the NBA?
I saw this on your Twitter, and it's like it's hard because are we talking about whose skill?
I'm talking right now.
Right now.
And we talked this on the show
Okay.
on Monday.
Right.
But then this happened.
Right. Yeah. I was just having this conversation with Eric Fisher. Shout out to him, and we were saying how like we put Kyrie just above Lillard because he has more of that clutch gene over Lillard. But now it's kind of like Lillard's really making that case for that clutch gene now. Especially with this shot,
And Lillard's done it with so much less help. I mean, granted, Kyrie's got a ring.
Right.
But that's because, the year after you were drafted, LeBron came and played on your team. And then, obviously, don't worry. I know that you hit the shot in Game 7, but, like, I mean, Kyrie's got a ring. Dame has never, he had LaMarcus Aldridge for a little bit, and now CJ McCollum is an offensive weapon, but that doesn't have all the help there. So,
I guess maybe it's because Kyrie has more of those moments, I guess, compared to Lillard. That's where you kind of give him that little edge, but I don't know. I guess that's the only reason why I give Kyrie just that little bit, but it's honestly like right there. You can make the case for both guys.
I think I would put Lillard above Kyrie, and I would have all season just because of the things that, like, the problems that the Celtics have had all season. And Kyrie, you know, he's had that chance to become like that leader, and he hasn't, and his game struggled a little bit. He's not, you know, doing as best or as good as he was when he was with LeBron. And although it's kind of clicking, you know, they beat the Pacers, but, like, you know, they have Giannis next. So I wouldn't necessarily put Kyrie right now above Lillard. But if we're going, like, career-wise, you listed, like, Kyrie.
I put Kyrie,
Right, yeah.
Lillard, Westbrook, and then I put
It's
other
Lillard.
in case anybody was feeling like
right.
CP3 deserved to be in the argument.
I feel career-wise, it's Curry. Still, Westbrook is, I think, better career-wise than Kyrie and Damian Lillard than it's Kyrie and Lillard. But Lillard could easily top those two that are ahead of him he finishes this
I would
career
agree with
strong.
you for this season. Lillard's the second best point guard in the league for this season.
And if we're talking right now, then yeah, we're good. I guess we're all taking Lillard. I think that's crazy that you give Westbrook the career edge because of his MVP, but Kyrie's got the ring.
Yeah,
Like if you're talking career,
I understand. But, like, if it comes down to it, if, like, I had to pick a player to be on my team, and we both get them in the prime, obviously Russell Westbrook has shot terribly this year, and that's his biggest flaw is that he can't shoot and he shoots too much. But if I have to start a team and I have to pick one of them in their primes at their best, I'm gonna pick Russell Westbrook.
yeah. Last night Russell Westbrook missed 20 shots.
Yeah.
Rest of the Thunder missed 19.
Right.
It's insane.
Man, my
Brick house.
like now I'm starting to see sort of what Westbrook is that when he does well, you don't necessarily see it translate to wins. That's my
That's fair.
only
Yep, exactly.
thing with Westbrook where I say like, who do you build a team around? Like now, you know, at first once he started getting those first couple seasons with the triple doubles, I'm like, hey man, like, you know, how could you not? But now, you know, seeing this time where hey, he's done it three seasons in a row, and to not see really OKC make that jump with him being the guy. It's like, I don't know, like he wants, obviously you could tell he wants to be the alpha, but for the sake of the team, I don't think it's good that he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way that he can keep playing the way he's playing and for them to win. And he has to make that executive decision in his career. He's 30 years old.
Right.
You have, you know, maybe 5 years of being like still, you know, somewhat productive. You have to make that decision. Do you want to win, or do you want to keep getting these triple doubles?
Right.
And do you keep wanting to be a team that you're gonna shine, but not the team?
Because honestly, I think that at one point in the season when Paul George was going off and everybody, you know, he was in the MVP conversation. Honestly, I think that's when OKC was playing at their best.
No doubt.
You know, when
Russell
Paul
Westbrook was
George
second.
was the top dog and Russell Westbrook took a step back and was that second guy. Honestly, if that was still the case, you know, during this playoff series, you know, we could be going to a game 7 instead of, you know, well, not that I wouldn't want to see this Lillard shot, but you know, this series could be definitely going to a game 7 if Paul George was the alpha.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. I used to be on the Russell Westbrook train. I used to be a Thunder fan because of Kevin Durant, and then Kevin Durant kind of
Right, and then I hopped on the Russell Westbrook train, but now it's getting harder and harder to.
Yeah, understand.
Did he average a triple double again this year?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then over the past 3 years, it's been a triple double.
This
This
is the
season,
third-
the season before, and then so
This
like, the
third
last
season-
3 seasons. This is the third season this year.
The season right before the first season, he almost did.
Wait, he averaged one 2 years ago.
Yes.
Yes.
And when he won
Every
the
year
MVP.
since KD wasn't there, he's averaged a triple double.
Jeez, well,
Yeah.
he hasn't made it past the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, that's
Right.
fair.
But the main story that I want to get to today, and the most local story that we need to talk about, and probably the biggest story that we're going to get to, Luke Ford is denied eligibility from the NCAA after transferring from Georgia to Illinois. He tweets this out earlier today that they let him know firsthand, citing the fact that the place that he chose to play is not within 100 miles of his hometown. If the argument was to be made that he was transferring home to be closer to family, including a sick grandfather of his that he has a good relationship with. I'm going to open the floor up. I mean, how are we feeling in the Illini Nation?
I think that explanation is so bad. There's this tweet that there's the FBS programs around.
Is this from is this from Tom Fernelli?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it,
did
Carterville,
good.
where he's from?
Yeah, Carterville, Illinois.
So Champaign is the closest at 193 miles. Then Vanderbilt at 209, Memphis at 221, Louisville at 226, Indiana at 230, Missouri at 248. So this is a guy that had the legitimate chance to be a starter on that Georgia team that almost competed for a national championship last year. And he comes to this team, and he comes back to his home state, and that is the closest FBS program to his home, and he's still not able to play there for what? Like, and like the NCAA, like, I just don't understand, like, for what?
He's from Carterville, Illinois. It is so close to Carbondale, where obviously SIU is.
I was gonna ask. I've never heard of that place,
But I know this because a neighbor of mine actually moved to Carterville, and they like watched him in high school. Like they didn't have kids that went to high school there anymore, but they heard about him. They went and saw him, and they say he's the real deal. So the scouting report from my neighbor is that he's legit. But very close to Carbondale, but he's not. He's not an SIU guy. Yeah. I mean, he's a D1 talent. He was the best recruit out of the state of Illinois in last year's recruiting class. Goes to Georgia. Did he? I don't know if he played that much.
He started. No, he didn't start. He played 9 games.
It's Georgia. It's Georgia. But at the end of the day, like that's a team that almost went to the college football playoff. So not having a starting role on that team. I don't know if that's the reason he transfers away, but I mean, he also cites about wanting to be close to family. So he goes to the closest Division I school he possibly can and gets told that ain't close enough. I mean, he doesn't deserve to play at SIU because he needs a pad to show his talent to the world. And this is just heartbreaking for an Illinois football team that is looking up and has positive things going. Things going his way, especially with some of the transfers that they have been getting that are immediately eligible. This is kind of just a dagger almost. I mean, I felt the hype around, maybe not the ending, but getting Isaiah Williams and getting the recruits from USC and having edge rushers and wide receivers coming in and then being like, we're going to add Luke Ford.
Right. It's kind of one of those things where you think just when you feel like this team is finally going to get that break and make that step, boom, this guy isn't eligible. And there's obviously like not really a logical reason why, just because he lives a couple 100 miles further from the school and he can't play. I don't understand the ruling for that, but I would say, I guess just for me, it isn't necessarily the dagger. You just kind of throw your hands up and say, wow, like, how many hurdles does this team have to, jump over to, get where we want to be?
Yeah, definitely. And it's just crazy to see because there was so much support for this kid. There was Georgia fans, Illinois fans. Like everybody wanted him to play because they know he's a good kid. They know he's transferring for the right reasons. Well, you have guys out here transferring because they're not going to start. And then they immediately eligible, ruled by the NCAA. So, like, I think the NCAA, like, it should be scrutinized because it's why are you letting kids that are transferring because they can't play, who live even way further than Luke Ford lives from Champaign, but you're letting them play immediately. But Luke Ford, who transfers home because his family and his grandfather's sick,
he has a reason.
He has a legitimate reason, and he wants I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Luke Ford hits close to home. The worst story that came out of the NCAA eligibility, though, is Brock Hoffman, who I don't know where he transfers from, but I know he's transferring to Virginia Tech. He was denied for the same reason, not within the 100-mile radius, and it's his mother, I believe it is.
I saw this.
No, it's his mother or grandmother. Hold on, his mom. His mom has a brain tumor. Just had a brain surgery. Virginia Tech is 5 miles outside of that 100-mile radius, and they also denied his eligibility. And now he has an appeal. He's trying to get some support from Hokie Nation, and obviously, I imagine that the Vatek is going to go through with the appeal the same that Illinois is going through with Luke Ford. But that's absolutely heartbreaking. I mean, your mother having a brain tumor, and then being told that you can't play at the school. I mean, granted, you're still going to be at the school. He's still going to be closer to home. That's one thing I feel like people often forget is like, they are still there. They are still closer to home. But the fact that you're going to have to sit out a year, these kids. Realistically, every kid playing in college at a D1 level is thinking, if I work hard enough, maybe I can go to the NFL. But sitting a year out, that's a year of tape that you're not putting out there with the NFL. It's a year of getting better. Nothing trains you like a game.
Right.
So that was the most heartbreaking that came out of this, especially as many people will point out, Justin Fields, Kelly Bryant, Tate Martell, all these big name quarterbacks that were QB1 on Netflix and have the storylines that go along with them don't win the starting job, transfer to another school because they think they can be the quarterback there, and are almost immediately the process didn't take nearly this long, like for Brock Hoffman and Luke Ford, given that eligibility right away. And it's because NCAA wants to make money, and that's the end of the day. That's all it is.
That's the sad and the sad reality of these types of situations. Like you hit the nail on the coffin. You have these quarterbacks who they don't get the opportunity that they thought they were going to get with the first school that they signed with, and they want to say, hey, I want to go over to this school, and NCAA is like, oh, okay, this guy's a big name. If he goes to this school and he's eligible, boom, we're going to make money. And you have all these other guys who are talented who may not be as big names as these other guys who aren't or who are just waived. I don't know. It's just
it's ridiculous.
It sucks.
And the bogus part about it too is that this 100-mile radius has no like basis, has nothing
Like,
standing
what's
on
the
it.
reasoning?
There is no numbers that support the idea of a 100-mile radius. All it is just being like, oh, 100 is a solid number. Like,
Right.
let's just like make it 100 because
It just
it's
sounds
100.
good,
It's
right.
and it's just a looking good number. It's just there's no legitimate explanation behind choosing the number other than it's 100.
Like, what is? How much of a difference does 5 miles make to not grant eligibility? Like, what does 5 miles do exactly?
5 miles in Brock Hoffman's case, 93 miles in Illinois' case. It's ridiculous, and I hope that all the backlash the NCAA is receiving, especially from Brock Hoffman and his serious reason, but also Luke Ford, makes the NCAA, one, approve these transfers and make them eligible, but two, opens sort of the country's eyes into sort of how corrupt the NCAA can be at that times. Because I'm not going to sit here and say that NCAA is a poorly run organization for all the reasons, because they do things right every now and then, but a lot of times when the NCAA is asked to give, there's no giving to be had. But that's going to take us to our first break. When we come back, some lighter news. We'll talk a little bit about the NFL draft, maybe touch on some baseball. Who knows? We'll get crazy. You guys listen to Illini Drive, and we'll be right back after this break. And welcome back to Illini Drive. Nathan DeHaan, joined by I'm totally blanking here. Brendyn Jones, Alex Aguilera.
Wow.
No Jake is on there. Yeah, that was weird. All of a sudden, I didn't remember either one of your guys' names. But a big weekend this weekend for a lot of reasons. In pop culture news, obviously, I think everybody knows that Avengers Endgame, the final chapter in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this is Avengers Initiative, debuts tomorrow night. I know you're going tomorrow.
No, I'm trying to get tickets for Friday.
You're trying to get tickets for Friday.
I'm going tomorrow.
Alex is going tomorrow.
7 p.m.
You at AMC Big D or in Savoy?
No, AMC.
In the big theater? The Big D experience? Maybe?
I don't know. I just got
How much was a ticket?
$10.
Okay, then I don't think so.
Okay. I don't know. That was I just needed to get a ticket that day.
And I just needed to plug the most ridiculously named theater on earth.
Is it called the Big D?
The Champagne's theater on Prospect is called the Big D Experience.
That's crazy.
I don't.
Right?
Okay.
Think about the amount of people that had to say
Why?
yes to that.
I mean, I guess this. I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I just got it. That was the first ticket I could find. That was the earliest time I could find, and I just secured it. I did not care.
Yep, I'm planning on going on Saturday. A little nervous about having to spend Thursday night
Man, see,
and
this
Friday.
sucks because now I can't talk with anybody. I have to find out who's seen it.
Jake
is probably.
Oh, okay.
Jake's got tickets for Jet tomorrow night. Too.
Oh, okay. But if I see it earlier than everybody else, I feel good at first because I'm I saw it before you guys, but at the same time I can't say anything because I don't want to spoil anything, and then I gotta keep it inside.
I'm sure you will find people. I'm sure that the group chat that we're in will be going off as soon as everybody sees it.
True. Yeah.
So very exciting. Also, the waited for Battle of Winterfell for Game of Thrones is happening.
Oh man, I'm so behind.
Yeah,
Man.
Alex super behind. So we always kick him out of the studio on Mondays when we talk about it, so that we can.
I'm fine with it. It's
we're the integrity. We're trying to keep you.
and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Have you where are you at again? You said you're season 3.
Season 3. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Are you consistently working at it, to try
Well,
to
I
catch
don't
up?
have HBO.
Oh, that
That's
do you have
hard.
do you have Hulu?
Yeah.
HBO's on Hulu.
But I don't got money for HBO.
No. I'm pretty sure if you have a Hulu, you get some things on HBO. I've seen Hulu ads for Game of Thrones.
Really?
Yeah.
Check it
Oh,
out.
I'm gonna have to check because it's my brother's Hulu. I'm gonna have to see.
Oh, trust me, I'm on my friend from home's HBO. Don't you worry. I understand
if that's
that.
the case, then that sucks because I've had HBO. I mean, I haven't had Hulu for the longest. Oh man.
I don't know.
I'll check.
exactly how that works, but I've seen HBO on Hulu, Game of Thrones ads for the Hulu Twitter.
Because I thought it was you had to get the HBO add-on, and that's where I'm I don't got the money for that. At
Maybe.
least not yet.
I'm not really sure.
I'll have to check it out now. Because if that's the case, then that's all I'll be watching from here on out.
But it's a crazy weekend in that regard. But it's also a crazy weekend for a couple of young men that are going to be selected in the NFL draft, which we haven't really talked about on the show at all, primarily because you guys are all Bears fans and don't have a first-round pick. So the hype around the draft doesn't really exist as much as it does for everybody else. But there's been a lot of talk, and I want your guys' opinion. You are the picker. You are the GM for the Arizona Cardinals. Who are you taking? Took Josh Rosen last year.
I know, and that's why, I don't know. It's so hard to say because while Kyler Murray is, that great talent that we saw at Oklahoma last year, you still Josh Rosen hasn't even had that time. You know what I mean? And while I understand why you take him, in reality, if I was getting paid that money to pick, I'd probably pick Kyler Murray, but I would go Bosa if I just had to pick right now.
Alex?
Yeah, I would say if you want to play it safe, I would definitely go Bosa, but I think if you want the bigger payoff, so, hopefully I would go at Murray, but no, I would agree with Brendyn. I would honestly just go with Bosa. I think that's the safe pick. I think, what you're going to get out of him, whereas Kyler Murray, I don't care, how good a quarterback is, in college once it comes to the NFL. I mean, it's such a transition. I mean, look what happened with Josh Rosen. They picked this guy for a reason, and not even a year later, they're already talking about getting rid of this guy. And it's granted, it's kind of unfair because you're obviously not giving him a lot of time. But, I would say if I'm the Cardinals, if you want to just play it safe, just go with Bosa.
Yeah.
So what is that?
if I'm in charge, that's the one thing is the Cardinals, Cliff Kingsbury and their organization has the overall decision on who to pick. But if it's me, I'm 100% taking Nick Bosa or Quinnen Williams. Yeah. And I'm listen, we drafted this dude last year. Yeah. We're paying him a quarterback salary. The thing is, if this is the Bills, if this is the Jets, if this is any of these teams that just drafted rookie quarterbacks in last year's draft, and then we saw how they played out in this last year, you're probably not even thinking about it. And you're we're good with the guy we have. The thing was, Josh Rosen was by far the most underwhelming rookie quarterback.
No, of course. And
granted, the Cardinals suck.
Right.
They're just a bad team.
And that's why it's hard. You see. You see Kyler Murray, and I'm sure Kyler Murray's going to be a great quarterback one day. But you still have to it's hard to after one season just totally discount your first round pick, especially when it's a first round quarterback pick from last year. You haven't given him time to mature to that NFL game. You haven't given him weapons to use. You haven't solidified him with a good team to be able to see how good he can be. And maybe Kyler Murray will be better than him, but you still, I feel like if you're the Arizona Cardinals, you still, have to ride with this guy until he proves you wrong.
I think that's also on the Cardinals too. It doesn't seem like they were necessarily all in on Rosen because now there's all the speculation that they're trying to ship him out already after 1 year, and it's well, I mean, why did you even draft this guy in the first place? Then, to be honest,
I wonder if they're letting people talk. But also, when Josh Rosen deleted all pictures of him in a Cardinals uniform or him related to Cardinals off of his Instagram, that feels to me like the organization. I feel like he had to ask, and the organization had to tell him, listen, we're keeping our options open. Right. And that's not what he wanted to hear. Of course, it's not what he wanted to hear.
Yeah. Right. No. And then I had also seen something too that the Cardinals threw out some hype video, and the only part that Rosen comes out in is for a split second, and that's it. Throughout the whole hype video, and I'm just kind of okay, stuff like that. I mean.
Yeah.
It makes you, scratch your head and say,
what that does to somebody's confidence, and say they are to pick Kyler Murray and they still they have time to decide who they want, right? But how do you think Josh Rosen's gonna react knowing that you guys don't care about him at all? You don't even put him in the hype video, and he's your quarterback, and
he's not in their hype video.
That's what I was just saying.
Apparently they came out with a hype video, and he comes out for a split second. And it's literally a split second.
He's your quarterback.
And it's what if you draft Kyler and you still have both of them, and Kyler's not what you want Kyler to be, right?
Right.
And then now you have to rock with Josh Rosen, but he knows you don't mess with him like that. So it's it's hard. It's I don't know.
You don't know how he's going to respond. He may come out and say, I need to prove these guys that I'm legit and that, I'm going to be the quarterback that they thought I was going to be. Or he's just I don't want to play for this team. If they don't want me, I'm just going to play like crap, get out of here, and then hop on whatever team and just ball out. So
this is also the Josh Rosen that when he was at UCLA and people were talking about which of the, 4 quarterbacks that then ended up being 5 that went in the first round of last year's draft. There was speculation. There was talks, obviously a quarterback draft, and he like didn't even want to entertain the thought of any of them being nearly as good as him. He like it was quoted saying like I'm like the best quarterback like that they've seen in a long time, and all of this like talk. And then you are the most underwhelming rookie quarterback, and you have attitude problems, and now all of a sudden they're looking Kyler Murray in the face, and they're like, you know what, he's a great dude, and like people like his attitude and like playing for him. The thing is, it makes me nervous. I mean, it was kind of like a laughing point part of the NFL like lead up the combine. Kyler Murray's 5'9", 5'10". I mean, he like could not work in the NBA. I mean, the last time that we saw this was Russell Wilson. Yeah. Obviously, that's worked. Winner, guy that's in the conversation for the MVP almost every year. But like, is that going to happen every time that there's like there's a 5'10" quarterback that also plays baseball? I mean, the comparisons to Russell Wilson, there's so many that you can draw. The crazy thing is, Russell Wilson happened, and it was a huge surprise because other than that, I can think of Breeze and then nobody else that's been this small and successful in the NBA or the NFL. And it's just like, I mean,
where Murray, there's now kind of like this expectation because just how he looked at, he's been. I don't even know if that sounded right, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, he's a Heisman winner, don't get me wrong. But he also played in an offense that produced a Heisman winner the year before. Maybe we just are underestimating how good Lincoln Riley is as a coach. Granted, Baker Mayfield works out, but I don't know. I feel like you got to take Bosa or Quinnen Williams. Yeah. Because you ride with Josh Rosen. At least give him another season because it was his rookie season. There was a lot of learning that he had to do, a lot of growing that he had to do. Not every rookie is amazing. There's a bunch of learning curves, and it's like, how do you expect, a rookie to make a splash? I mean, don't get me wrong, when it happens, it's great, but, this is honestly like the reality of, a rookie season. This is what's going to happen. There's going to be a learning curve. There's going to be a transition. They're not going to be what they were in college, but give them time. Once that time passes, then you can make that decision to say, oh, okay, let's ride with this guy because he has that potential, or no, this is the guy, we need to move on from him. So it's kind of an unfair situation for Rosen, as well. Yeah, that's fair.
Granted, he didn't have the best season, but at the same time, it's like, now with all this chatter, it's like, well,
yeah, he had Larry Fitzgerald, and that was kind of it. Yeah. I mean, David Johnson had a down year last year. The rest of the Cardinals is kind of just a dumpster fire. What's funny is that the top of this draft is kind of spoiled in that the Cardinals and the 49ers are 1-2. And the 49ers obviously don't need a quarterback and would not draft Kyler Murray if he fell to them. Neither would the Jets at 3, and then maybe the Raiders at 4. But the thing is, the Niners now then would be like, okay, we have edge rushers like Nick Bosa to pick from, or Quinnen Williams, or Josh Allen, or Devin White, and like any of these guys, but they've drafted D-line 3 of the last 4 years. And now, do you make it 4 of the last 5? I mean, it's like the teams that didn't need to be high up in this draft got to be high up in this draft. The Jets needed to be high up in this draft. But that's the thing. The 49ers, a lot of people picked them to win the NFC West last year. Yeah. You lose Garoppolo. You lose... was
that first or second week?
Oh, yeah, it was early.
It was early.
You lose McKinnon. I mean, all of a sudden, Greg Kittle comes out of nowhere, and he's got this connection. But you lost so much of your talent, like right off the bat, that like this team could be so solid. And the fact that Nick Bosa might fall to them, or Quinnen Williams might fall to them, and they could just have a ridiculous, young defensive line that a few of them have to pan out. Right, your high picks of the draft. I want to plug my Packers a little bit. I mean, this draft has them taking a tight end, which I think is dumb. You have Jimmy Graham. If you're not Jimmy Graham, Lance Kendricks knows the offense. I mean, and I've never understood why they strayed away from Richard Rodgers, because he had like a solid connection with Aaron Rodgers. I rewatched some Aaron Rodgers highlights the other day, and I saw the touchdown reception that Richard Rodgers made in the Hail Mary Lions game, and I was like, why'd we even like really bother going away from this guy? I mean, it wasn't like I felt like we needed to add anything at tight end. I just hope they outdraft offensive talent and offensive line, because there's often offensive line injuries, especially for cold weather teams like the Packers and the Bears. For you guys, what position would you like to see addressed by the Bears in this draft? Because when you think about the Bears, there's not really any there's not any holes. There's not any weak spots.
There's not really any weaknesses. They don't have a pick until the third. So they have a third, a fourth, a fifth, and then 2 7ths.
Nice.
Yeah. But I'm gonna just go back to what you said. I mean, like, you can't go wrong with picking up offensive linemen, especially in the middle rounds. Like, that's where a lot of good offensive linemen come from too. Those guys that can really grind. So, I'm not really concerned about any specific position group. Like, for example, like last year, Trubisky's rookie year, like, obviously receiver was that position group that we were worried about. But this year, I'm not really worried about anything. You could, grab a receiver, but I don't think you need anything at all.
I feel like those 7th-round picks would be good to spend on receivers. Just get guys in the room, get them in the conversation, see what some of these fast guys from maybe smaller market schools can do. But yeah, I mean, Alex.
I would say. I mean, yeah, there isn't anything I would say really we need to address. I would say I would agree with Brendyn. O-line is always just kind of like a safe bet to draft with. Maybe like in the secondary, just pick up some guys as well, just in case anybody goes down. You feel that need just in case. So I mean, yeah, I just like how the team's already set up as is. You're just getting guys to back up. The starters essentially. If someone goes down, you have someone who could fill in that role well.
The plan I feel like that Ryan Pace made for these Bears sort of worked out awesome. I mean, having no picks in this draft and nobody's worried about it because obviously the success that happens last year, but just also that every single group is so well put together that nobody minds you guys only have 5 picks. And the fact that like if you did have picks in this draft, you'd probably just be trading them away. At that point, just being like, yeah, like we'll take your next year's 2nd-round pick for our 2 picks in the middle rounds. There's no reason to do that now because you might as well add some rookie talent and see what you can get out of it. But
these first 2 rounds, he gets to chill and relax, and come 3rd round, he's had a lot of time to think. So yeah, it's a weird situation. Normally, just having 5 picks, it's a nightmare. Like, oh my God, we only have five picks, but it's awesome that he's put this team in a scenario where you don't have to worry about that, and you kind of have that freedom to just sit back and really think about what choices you're gonna make. And
then in that 3rd round, probably the best available, no matter the position. Just let's say a guy falls out of the 2nd round, and you're sitting there and you're like, yeah, I mean, we haven't picked up anything yet, and we don't really need to address anything overwhelmingly. Let's take him.
Right?
Why not? To close the show, I'd like to talk about baseball because the Cubs are over 500. We're all Cubs fans in here. We don't have to listen to Jake's gripe about the Cardinals, even though the Cardinals are the top of the division right now. They look good. The pitching has been phenomenal recently, which is a surprise. They got all over Medea yesterday, and that was sweet. So how's everybody feeling? How's everybody doing? What's surprising? I mean, we don't get a lot of unfiltered Cubs talk on this show.
Yeah, so I think the most surprising thing is just how quickly the pitching turned around. It was awful the first 10 games, and now it's like in the last 10 games, it's one of the best in the MLB. I don't know. It's just insane to see how quickly they've turned around, how quickly they're now climbing in the standings. I think they're 3rd and only 2.5 games behind when they started, I think 6 games behind in like the first 10, 12 games.
They were in the dumps. That's for sure.
They were. So, I don't know. It's great, and it's nice to see the Brewers are falling. So.
Yeah, that helps. Christian Yelich is terrifying at the bat this year.
Insane.
And it's annoying.
I will take this to my
as a
grave.
fan perspective.
When I first saw Christian Yelich, I was like, this guy doesn't look like he should play baseball. He just who did I compare it to? Michael Cera. That that awkward dude from Scott Pilgrim. Like it doesn't look like he wanted to play baseball, but he just ended up playing baseball and ended up just getting really good for some reason. I swear to God, Christian Yelich.
That's
really
bogus,
like
Alex. That's bogus.
I'm sorry. Like it's just like it doesn't look like he wanted to play baseball, but he just ended up getting thrown into baseball, and he's just like, well, okay, I guess I'm stuck with this, and he ended up just being really good.
And then the beginning of this year, he grew out his hair, and he looked even dorkier.
Right, and I'm just like, I'm looking at the guy like, dude, like you shouldn't be as good as you are. Like, why?
Yeah.
It's telling you, dude, the Michael Cera of the MLB is Christian Yelich.
All right, man. I'll believe
Was it like, I could be getting this wrong, but it's like 8 home runs against the Cardinals and like 4 against.
Haven't all these home runs been at home too?
Yeah, that's one thing.
Right.
That's one thing is every single one has come at Wrigley North, or I mean at Brewers Stadium. So
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, that has to play a part in it. I mean, like you can tee off in Milwaukee, so that's I mean that's part of it. But
dude, that dude can play baseball. It just doesn't look like it. But he can play baseball.
Another dude who can play baseball is this Down to the Scalzo guy. He's got like I think he leads the MLB in 2-out RBIs. Like just a clutch gene that we haven't seen since. Oh wait, well we have David Bodie on our team too. I love that Contreras and Hayward are hitting because I mean they have the two highest batting averages on the team right now at 339 and 322. And it's like, this wasn't what we got at all. I mean, Contreras has been great for a while, and Javi homers last night to take away Contreras having the most home runs in the team. But I mean, Hayward's hitting home runs. I mean, you always know what you're getting defensively out of them too.
Right.
So I love that the offense was quote unquote the problem last year.
Yeah.
And it seems to be no problem at all.
Yeah, having those two be having the best two averages, it's great because obviously Rizzo and Brian are in a slump right now, but these are two guys that have over the last 4 years been some of the best in baseball. They're gonna come around, and then at the end of the season, if they do or when they do come around, you're potentially looking at 5, 6, 7 guys that are very consistent hitters, and that's something that the Cubs didn't have in the last month of baseball, and that's why they fell out of that first place, and we saw it happen going to the wild card and everything. So it's really exciting. I'm ready to get back to Chicago for some games.
Yeah, for sure. But like to be honest, I mean, I would probably the most surprise thing I have about this team. Man, I can't talk today. Is I would agree with Brendyn that just this turnaround, how quick it was, but at the same time, I'm not surprised that it happened. Just because it's the Cubs, like this team, you look at this roster, like this is what's supposed to happen. I just didn't expect it to happen, right now.
And especially with the rotation, I mean, like if you just blindly looked at a rotation, didn't know anything about last year or anywhere, like to tell somebody that they have John Lester, Jose Quintana, Kyle Hendricks, Yu Darvish, and Cole Hamels,
Like
that's a really good rotation. I mean, Darvish still, I believe, averages the most Ks per 9 ever in MLB history. Cole Hamels obviously is a stud. He's been a stud for a long time. He's on the mound tonight as they take on the Dodgers in the second game of their 3-game homestand, and then to have Tyler Chatwood and Mike Montgomery, who's on the IL right now, but to have them to be able to sort of do like the long reliefs that are there. I mean, obviously the bullpen's an issue and constantly rotating. I mean, you see like Rosario comes up yesterday, and then Hicks goes back down today, and you sort of get a plethora of guys. You get Brad Bach, and you get Pedro Strop is your quote unquote closer. The news about Morrow being shut down for even longer period of time is disheartening because that is a surefire closer. But this team, everything's there. Right. And that's why I don't think you can ever count out the Chicago Cubs, is because everything is there. It does worry me though, as great as Contreras and Hayward are doing and Descalso are doing at the plate, and Javi's still killing it, and his juke move last night was hilarious.
Oh yeah.
What are you doing, David Freese? You just gave up on the play, and Javi just absolutely schooled you. But it does worry me that like Schwarber and Almora both have batting averages below 200.
Yeah.
And that Rizzo's is actually 200, and Bryant's just barely better than that. Not really seeing a lot of power out of Bryant either, which is a little nerve-wracking. But I think Almora has been the biggest, letdown this season because he was such a consistent leadoff last year.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's the guy that you want to be hitting 300, all season.
Oh, you want everyone to be hitting 300,
right?
but you saw it last
one
year.
guy that you definitely expected out of it's him, and to see that guy being like what below 200, you said?
Yeah, he's 192.
Right, that's just not good.
Yeah, it's really not. I still like the Cubs in the division.
Yeah.
I know the Brewers are hot. I know the Cardinals are better, but I still like the Cubs in the division. I think we're all on that page.
Yeah. I mean, there's just there's 162 games. I mean, obviously they got off to that very slow start, but now we're starting to see them, bring it back a little bit. So yeah, I mean, I would agree with you there. But yeah, this NL Central though is going to be tough.
Yes,
that's something you can't deny.
Yes, it will be. Okay, and we talked NBA a little bit earlier because it was, like I said, it was a seamless transition from Alex's game winner. Alex's game winner pretty much being almost like Damian Lillard's game winner. I want to preview the games tonight a little bit. The Houston Jazz series has been a little disappointing.
Jazz.
That was weird. The Rockets Jazz series has been a little bit disappointing, and Donovan Mitchell finally leads the Jazz to a win in Game 4, but now you go back to Houston, and then the Clippers play the Golden State Warriors. That is already wrapped up. I don't think that we have any inkling that the Clippers are going to stick around after tonight.
Yeah, no. I think back in Houston, maybe Jazz pull out another one, but I don't see it coming. I think both series close out tonight,
and then that's all of them, right?
Yeah,
that's all
for the first round.
Then the Nuggets and Spurs.
That's right.
Play tomorrow.
Low-key having a solid series. Who won last night?
Denver.
Denver did.
Which is
3-2.
Which is crazy because I don't know. It just seemed like this was such a series that Denver could lose. And I was talking, I think I was on a Thursday show, but I was saying I wouldn't be surprised if Denver lost, just because when you look at
wouldn't be surprised.
Right.
Just because if you look at NBA playoff history, like it's who has the best players, who has the best coach. You know, that's who wins. And the best player in the series is Nikola Jokic. But after that, you know, you have DeMar DeRozan, you have LaMarcus Aldridge, and then, you know, you could add another Spurs player before you get to Jamal Murray. And obviously, who has the experience is the San Antonio Spurs, who've been
hands down.
hands
Nobody's
down,
got more experience.
Right.
You know, one of the best teams of this century. So, but I don't know. Nuggets have pulled out the last 2 games, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. But yeah.
I've been high on the Nuggets all season. I think they're so young and talented.
Yeah.
And I like them. I get where you're coming from, and I understand, you know, Greg Popovich, DeMar DeRozan, LaMarcus Aldridge. I mean, it's a well put together team. It's kind of a ragtag team, but I mean, it's still it gets the job done. I think Denver's gonna be a force to be reckoned with, though, for the next 5,
I think
6
for sure.
years.
Oh yeah, they'll be there. Especially Jamal Murray is getting so good. Like I feel like every year, was this his third?
I think
year?
it's his third.
Mm-hmm.
And every year he's gotten so much better. And Nikola Jokic is just been so consistent this year. And he's probably going to be, you know, when you look at him and Karl Anthony Towns, they're the centers of the future. So this Denver team will be exciting, especially if they get to add a superstar this offseason with the amount of free agents that there are.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Probably something down low. I mean, Gary Harris and Jamal Murray, I feel like, is your backcourt. I feel like that's what you're riding with from them going forward.
Maybe you had a guy on a wing, something like that.
People forget they drafted Michael Porter Jr. Like with the injury issues that he's had and whatever. I mean, he was a top tier talent and the number 1 recruit when he went to Mizzou.
Right.
Obviously, he gets injured and doesn't really play a lot, and then he falls all the way in the draft to 14, where the Nuggets are like, why hasn't anybody drafted you yet? Snag him right up, and I mean, he could very well. I mean, you know, Steph Curry had injury problems at the beginning of his career.
Right.
So that right there is something that I always point to as like, you know, sometimes that isn't like the huge red flag that it actually is, and maybe MPJ does pan out.
Some guy named Michael Jordan had injury problems, and I think he turned out okay. Like,
that is true.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Michael Porter Jr. While I think he's going to lose some of his athleticism because of the fact that it's 2 serious back injuries, he was still a very skilled player. Like it's not like his whole game was based on athleticism.
No,
he's a really good shooter, you know, really good playmaker. So I think that, you know, if he's able to stay healthy after this year, he should be a solid NBA player because he was going into 2 years ago. It was when he went to Mizzou, he was the number 1 high school player in the country. So,
all right, before we go, Endgame. Who dies? Who lives? How's it end? Predictions.
Tony Stark dies.
Yeah?
I will scream it to the heavens. I had an argument with Jake a couple months back.
Jake really doesn't want to hear these arguments.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny how much he
we
loves talking about the Avengers until you disagree with him.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, we got into a screaming match. We weren't mad at each other, but we just, like, he was so convinced that he was right, and then I was just so convinced that I had a better theory than him that he just
Let's hear the theory then.
Oh, what was the theory? It was months ago.
This was that long ago.
Yeah, it was like before winter
yesterday.
break. No, this is before winter break. Like, we were at a place. I forget. I don't even remember where we were. But I gave him the
sneaky way of saying Cam's.
No, it wasn't Cam's. We were at some apartment. I don't even know whose apartment it was. It was some DI bar crawl thing or whatever.
Sure.
Or I think. What was it? No, I gave him this is how I started it off. I gave him a theory of how Captain America survives because I was Team Cap and he was Team Iron Man. So I gave him the theory that
I'm Team Cap all day.
All day, every day. I'm wearing my T-shirt tomorrow. But anyway, I gave him the theory that that obviously time travel is involved, right?
Yeah,
we all agree.
Or the what's it called? What's the little mirror zone that they go?
The quantum realm.
Yeah, the quantum realm.
Right. So
the quantum realm is involved. I don't know if so much time travel as much as it is that.
Right, but something involved with time. Like there's, it's gonna happen. And so I was saying that, with all that Caps has lost, that this is sort of like the happy ending that he gets, where he ends up with Peggy or something like that. That there isn't any really good reason to kill him off. Whereas you look at Tony Stark, I mean, yeah, he ended up becoming an Iron Man, but this dude, was selling weapons. They got into the wrong hands. I mean, yes, he shut it down. He created Ultron, and that ended up being a whole movie. He created a whole supervillain. So, Tony Stark kind of has some dirt on him, whereas Captain Rogers is a little bit more clean cut, even though he did kill lots of people in World War II, and there was some pretty nasty stuff that he did. I mean, he isn't super clean, but I mean, he did what he had to do. But yeah, no, it's hard to, see a guy like, like Tony Stark, even though, obviously this is the guy that kicked off, this whole, cinematic universe. But, it's just hard to see him, live it out, I guess.
I love that you brought up Peggy Carter, Agent Peggy Carter, because original Captain America movie, Haley Atwell is the actress's name. I know this because I'm in love with Peggy Carter. Like the way that movie was shot just made her look so beautiful in every single one. And oh man, I was heartbroken when Captain drove into the ice. But yeah, I like that you brought up time travel. The only person in this like whole thing that like kind of did time travel was Captain America, who was frozen in ice for until they needed him
for like 70 years.
Exactly.
And then they just found him. And
so
like, hey, dude.
there's a superhero down here. So yeah, that I kind of like where you're coming from there. I think they go in the quantum realm. I think they bring the boys back somehow. I like that they're not credited like any of the people that like died in Infinity War, but like I think somehow they bring the squad back and then them on top of Captain Marvel and with the knowledge that Ant-Man has from being trapped in the quantum realm. Yeah. I think we're in store for something big.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it's hard to imagine just with all the events that have gone on that, a guy like Tony Stark, survives.
Yeah.
I think we, saw that, being alluded in that first Avengers movie where, he does almost die.
Yep.
Takes the nuke up. And then one of the things that I like to point out is that little dream sequence in the second Avengers movie, where he is, where was the Scarlet Witch does the little thing on him, and he sees all the Avengers dead, and he's the only one that lives. I think for him, he'd rather die and see everybody else live instead of living and seeing everyone else die.
Yep, low key, a very honorable man. But that is going to do it for today's show. Thank you to all of you for listening. On behalf of Brendyn Jones, Alex Aguilera on the board, I am Nathan DeHaan signing off for Illini Drive. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for Isaac and Tati and that crew. But that is all for us. Thanks for listening. Alex, hit the music.